We can.
Yeah, just wait.
Okay.
Uh, Good morning, all. Dear all participants, I welcome you all on the behalf of KG College of Engineering and Management Research and Computer Department. Uh, today's webinar topic is product development and trading technologies. Our speaker is Mr. Uh, Shirish Bhosale. He is our pride alumni of ME, and he is a good entrepreneur, as well as he works 8 years in the industry, having huge experience. He become a project leader in the industry Kodwala, and right now he started his own firm, and based upon that, he is sharing all his knowledge. In today's webinar, we are we are going to be discuss about the knowledge required for development of academic projects, awareness of basic tools required for the software development cycle using Angel, and criteria for selection of technologies and architecture for the project, and advantages of working with the startup companies at the early stage of careers. So it's my guarantee to all the participants by attending today's webinar, you will get the knowledge of all these points, as well as at the last 5 minutes, he will going to be discuss about the internship program in his own startup. So over to Shirish. You can start, Shirish.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the opportunity, and it's my pleasure that I'm delivering this presentation to you all guys. Yeah, so we can start with the agenda first. Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yeah. Yeah. It's visible.
Okay, great. So first of all, it's very important to understand what is the agenda of this webinar. Okay, so the main intention of this webinar is to connect industry with the academics. Okay, uh, I have been playing various roles throughout my career, and I have been working in a recruitment department as well. I've interviewed almost 200 plus freshers, and I would like to share my experience with all the freshers and the B pass outs. What kind of skill sets are required, and what kind of technologies are required, so that they can highlight the skills, and definitely the job seekers who are willing to get jobs. Of course, I'm not talking about who have who have got place in the campus, but I'm talking about the job seekers. So to help those people, those budding professionals, we are dealing with the list of the technologies in this webinar, so that they can have they can go through that skill sets, and they can have a hands-on experience, and they can show it in their resumes, so that definitely a recruiters can identify that this is the right candidate. At least he has some kind of experience, and he can we can onboard him. We can start with the we can initiate first round with him. So that's the main motto, first of all. And obviously, as I said that uh, I'm trying to build a gap as a bridge, as a gap. I'm trying to fill a gap between the industry and the academics. So the main motto of this, the second motto of this webinar is this: I'm going to share few tools and technologies which are actually trending in the market, and I mean, the students can add it to their respective resumes, and that will help a lot for their further future and to get placed ASAP. And the tools and the technologies, those can be applicable for the academic projects. If the people are in final year project final year students, if they are final year students, they can apply to their final year projects. And if they are B pass outs, then definitely if they are not getting placed by next 6 months, for an example, definitely they can work with the technologies which are trending in the market, and they can showcase that yes, we have this skill set, and please let us know what we can do and what we can take it further. They can upload their resumes to various job portals, and definitely that will be highlighted. So that's the main motto. Hope everyone has acquired, everyone got the idea behind the webinar. Okay, so coming to the next point, stages of the product development. See guys, first of all, product is something which is sellable. So product can be anything. It can be a hardware, it can be a software, it can be a service as well. Okay, anything which is sellable, that is a product. Okay, but the thing is, we are focusing only on the software. So it's a product means it is software. Okay, software development product. Okay, so the thing is, there are various stages through which the product goes. Okay, so first of all, if you see that at the moment we are facing a problem because of the pandemic situation. So most of the people, most of the companies, they are trying to focus on e-commerce, then learning systems, e-learning systems, then medical systems. So these are something, this because of the situation of the pandemic, because of the pandemic situation, this is something which are trending in the market, because a product is something which has to resolve a pain. Okay, a product can be a simple idea, a product can be a big full-fledged product, but it has to fulfill, it has to resolve a pain points of a customer. Then and then only that product is sellable. It should have a unique selling point, USP. So to start with the product development, before that I would like to explain you the difference between the business models of product based company and service based company. As I said, that service is also, you're selling something, so it is also a product. But with respect to business model, these two companies work in different way. Okay, so services based company is something that you're going to provide some service to someone else. Okay, for an example, today X country, for an example US, they are providing, they are outsourcing their work to India. Okay, and Indian companies are uh, they are providing services to US based companies. So this is something service. We are completely dependent on other countries, other states, whoever they are outsourcing to us. Okay, so we are dependent in service based companies. We are dependent on someone else, but in product based companies, it's not the case. It is owned by you. It is owned by us if it is developed in India. So I really appreciate the concept of make in India, that we should develop products in India itself, whether it is a software, whether it is anything. Okay, that's really an appreciating thing, so that we are not relied on other countries, other state. So it depends on the situation, and it depends on the circumstances, that what kind of product you are going to develop, what kind of idea you are going to generate. Okay, so first of all, the thing is, to the first point of product development or software development is idea generation. Idea generation is something that you have to identify the pain points. You have to do, second, you have to do a market research, and you have to do a brainstorming, because an idea can be generated by anyone. Okay, even today, by sitting by viewing my webinar, some of you might be getting an idea, but that idea has to be mapped into a product. Then and then only that idea has a value. Okay, so first of all, you have to write down all the ideas on the paper. Then second is you have to brainstorm that idea with your teammates who are smart enough, because the more minds, the more ideas, more brainstorming, and obviously all the people who are going to contribute on your idea, they has to be smart in their domain. Okay, so one if it's a big team, then don't go for it. Let it be a small team, but all the team members should be very smart in their different domains. For example, one can be technical, one can be uh, from marketing, one can be from business analyst, one can be from sales. So it depends, because everyone has expertise in their own domain. So second point is most important, brainstorming. Then of course you have to do a market research. You have to think that whether our idea, it has a potential or not, whether we can penetrate or not in the market. The idea can be something, it can be innovative. The idea can be something that it is something, uh, for an example, it is overcoming some problem or false negative parts of some other products. So it can be anything which you can sell. For an example, let's take an example. Today there are n number of cloud services. Okay, cloud services like AWS, then Google, then Azure. Okay, so the point is, for an example, in one of the service of AWS, let's take an example of AWS Lambda, there is some problems or glitches. So other cloud provider can think on the pain points which developers are facing, or the end users are facing. They can jump on that problem, they can fix it, and they can say this is something we have fixed it. We have this extra features, and of course that can be a product that that features can be sellable. So the thing is, market research, penetration power, potential, that is also important. And of course the final thing is the plan. Everything needs a plan. So you have to plan that when you're going to launch, who are the targeted audiences, who you are going to uh, you know uh, uh, the location of the targeted audiences, that also matters. So this kind of plan is needed, and accordingly you have to formulate, you have to put down everything on a documentation, and that happens in the second section. Now that the next part is the mock concept. So it is something, a mocking or a wireframing. This is most important thing for prototyping. See, first of all, let's take an example of automobile industry. Before launching any car or any vehicle, they create a concept vehicle. It's a prototype basically, so that they take an idea that whether the product, whether the design that will be uh, used or not, whether people will accept it or not. So the thing is, it is a concept of prototyping, mocking. Even you can start a mocking on a whiteboard. You can have a whiteboard sessions. You just draw some screens, login screen. That login screen is connecting to some dashboard. Then dashboard, when the user clicks on the dashboard, what happens? So that kind of a flow we have to create before starting a development. Okay, so in a startups, in a small companies, people generally do mocking on a piece of paper itself. Okay, they do wireframing, they do whiteboard sessions. Okay, there are a lot of tools which are used to create actually live mockups. Okay, even we will discuss that in a further session. um, in fact, in this session itself, that how one of the tool can help us,
फोटो पाठव म्हणून आता घेतलेला आपला.
how one of the tool can help us to create a mock flow. Okay, flow of a app, for an example. Then once the mock concept is approved, mocking is very important, because the thing is, before rolling into the production, it saves a lot. Okay, in terms of money, in terms of time and all. So once the mock prototype is approved, it helps to distribute that mock concept to all the stakeholders who are part of business operations. And of course, you'll get earlier feedback that this is something we have to add a feature or we have to remove the feature, whatever it may be. It depends on individual's thought process. So once everything is approved, so 60% I would like to say 60% is almost frozen over here, that what we have to do, what is the roadmap, what kind of audience we are targeting. So the plan is frozen by 60% over here in the prototype itself. So next stage comes to the MVP. MVP is minimal viable product. MVP, in fact, before MVP, there is a kind of a concept, what we abbreviate as a POC, proof of concept, where we prove that this concept can be, we can do it. We can target few customers. Even a POCs we can run on our internal teams, in an internal team of a company. So that POC, that has been that has to be after the mock POC. We develop a POC depending on the situation and the criteria, and then we jump into the MVP. MVP is a minimal viable product, where it's a small chunk of features which we are going to deploy on production. And then those features, those MVP, we get a feedback, and depending on that we change the MVP, we add more features around the MVP. So MVP is something, it's a base of all the complete product. And we have to develop that MVP, then there is a testing, then there is to and fro between the product owner and the development team. There are a lot of cases. In fact, we will discuss how development team works with other team members in an agile way. So that's the next we will discuss. So over here, just understand what is the MVP. It's a minimal viable products, small chunk of features, and that is sellable. Most important thing is that is sellable, and without any glitches. It's a bug free, without any glitches. That small chunk or a small piece of a code, small feature of a full-fledged product, that is something we are going to deploy on production. Okay, this is the MVP. Next comes to the marketing of the MVP. Of course, you have developed a kind of MVP that has to be, you have to make a publicity. You have to do a marketing of that MVP, that we have done so and so features, that this has been rolled out, and this is something we are targeting the audience. This is something we are resolving the pain point. So the thing is, you have to do a marketing, and then of course you have to do a plan of a business model. It's nothing but the monetization. So it depends on a kind of a product what you have developed. Okay, if it is a SaaS based model, okay, SaaS based software as a service, if it's a SaaS based model, you have to think how you can onboard the subscribers. The more the subscribers, the you know the monetization will be more. Okay, if it is something that if it's a small product, and if you are trying to acquire traffic on that product, so that later on you can share your daily active users report to some investors, or to few advertising agencies, and you can run ads on that product. So it depends on the business model what you're thinking about, whether it is a SaaS base, whether it is a some different web portal. It depends. Okay, sorry. Then finally, it comes to funding. It's a completely optional thing. In fact, funding is not part of the product development, but it's an optional thing, as we are discussing everything in the same slide. So I've added this point also in the same slide. But the thing is, funding is something a different ball game. Funding is something that it is required basically whenever you think things are not in your hand. For an example, in terms of financials, um, you have to go for funding only if it is required. If it is not required, please don't go for the funding, because if you're going for the angel investment, that's fine, because angel investors are they are just giving us some money, uh, just take this money and do something. It's a kind of a fundamental like angel investors do. But if you're going for a bank loan, if you're going for seed funding, please do not go for it until and unless it is required, because you are going to share your stakes, your profit with them, and they have a control over your company. So think twice before going for the funding. So I hope this section you have got an idea what are the stages of the product development, and same points you can map to your academic projects. For an example, of course, in your first semester you're generating an idea, then you're brainstorming with your team, with your project coordinator. uh, you should try with mocking as well, because what I have seen that academic projects lack the mocking. Directly in the second semester you're creating some UI, some Jingbang UI, and you're showing to your project coordinators. Mostly happens. So try to create a mock ASAP. That helps a lot to all your stakeholders within your team. In fact, with your project coordinator, that will be a awesome step. So mocking is something what I see that this you have to focus the academic students, which for a final year project especially, they have to focus on mocking. And yeah, create an MVP in the first semester itself, a small MVP, and then you can go for the full-fledged product in the second semester. Definitely, monetization and funding. Last three points. Last three points is something. You, Last 3 points is something you can map in a way that you can show your concept what you have developed as an MVP in the first semester, in a second semester to a companies who would like to sponsor your project, who will like to take over your project. So that is something it will help you a lot. So think in a way that idea, brainstorming, mock, and MVP you're doing in the first semester, and the last 3 points you're targeting in the second semester. Definitely a full-fledged product what you're thinking as a software for a final year development, a final year project development, it will be full-fledged. But if you have something as a mock, as an MVP and as a mock, you can start at very early phases for pitching to investors. Your investors are nothing but your your
Every time
investors.
he is
Your investors are nothing but your project coordinators, your you know even sometimes if you have a good MVP, you have designed a good MVP, you can work on a full-fledged product, and finally that product may be used in your colleges. Okay, but the thing is to get the confidence of that product, you need a full idea of a what is the plan on the product, what is the MVP, what is. So that comes with mocks and with MVP. Okay, focus on mocks and MVP. Okay, so that at very early stages you can think that how you can sell it to your colleges or your department. In fact, you can create a product which is helpful for your department. Okay, today we are using this kind of a tools, Zoom and okay, whatever it may be, Google Meet and all. Why don't we create a software or tool for a department itself, or for a college itself? Think in that way. Sorry, think in that way. So that thought process should come into the mind of budding developers and budding professionals. That is the main important thing. So just start a thought process on these points, and definitely uh, uh, I, I I think that most of your people will be thinking that we can do this thing, we can do that thing, and in fact you can share your ideas with me as well. That I can help you a lot. Me and with the computer departments, along with we can collectively do something. So that's a different part of discussion. But the thing is, I just think about it, how you can generate an idea. Yeah. So next part is agile. Before moving to agile, let me explain you what the waterfall model is, because I know very well that you guys might be having an idea of what the waterfall and agile is in your courses of your BE. Okay, but the thing is, let me explain to you because it's important. I will give you a scenario that there is a complex project. Okay, a big complex project. Uh, the completion of this project is estimated for, like, say, 1+ year. Okay, and it's a big huge project, and there are it has a big team. Okay, it's a big team for development, for business analysts, for product owners. Okay, it's a big team. And the product, the requirement is something, it is frozen at very initial stages, and then later on the development starts. So let's take an example. In waterfall model, what happens? Everyone focuses on the requirement at the initial stages. The requirements are frozen. Huge documentations are created. Once the documentation is created, then the development team, testing team, they start their work parallelly. Okay. Then at very final phase of a product launch, like say at the end of the year, that product, we hand it over to the product owner for the acceptance. Sorry, for the acceptance. Now think in a way that the product owner or a client, product owner is a client for an example. He he checks the product, he verifies all the features. Most important thing in waterfall model, client is not involved in the development. He is only involved in the initial phases of the requirements. Okay. So at very last stage, where when a company gives a product to for the acceptance testing, that you just give us a feedback at very final stages, he gives a feedback. Nothing in a way, if it is a positive feedback, and he gets a product which he was expecting in a requirement. If he gets the product as he was expecting, that's fine, that's a positive feedback. But if there are negative feedbacks, then that's a problem. Because the thing is, this feedback we have got at very final stages. If the efforts of that negative feedback is big in terms of time and money, it's a big loss to a company. Whether it's a client company or it's a development company, it's a big loss. Because in some cases, a flow is changed completely. When a flow changes, definitely there are chances that your underneath architecture of your system, there are chances to change the overall architecture as well. It depends. So when it comes to the architectural changes, I'm just giving you an example. Okay, for if there is a chances that if there is architectural changes because of major feedback, major negative feedback, it's it's a problem for everyone. Someone has to bear the loss. So now consider if the feedback is given at early stages, then even if there are negative feedbacks, it can be overcome very easily. Okay, at very early stages. So the thing is, why we are adopting agile. Agility is something you are very flexible. You are not rigid. That is something agile. In traditional waterfall model, you have to iterate start to end, and again you have to go back, iterate start to end. So this iteration is very dangerous because you are uh, you are running complete cycle, and you are delivering a product, full-fledged product at very final stages. But in the agile, it's something different. It is something different over here. The thing is, all the team members, all the product owners, all the scrum master, product owner teams, business team, business operations team, they sit together, they finalize the requirement, they create a product backlog. So product backlog is nothing but you're creating an epic. You're creating a stories under the user story under the epic. User story is nothing but features of a product, individual features of the product. For an example, let's take an example in a complete full blown product. Sorry. One of the feature is login and log out, for an example. Next feature is to view a dashboard. Next feature is something that when you click some dashboard, or when you click on users, you just get a pop-up showing user details. So each and every feature can be divided into chunks, and these chunks we abbreviate as a user story. uh, this is something high level I'm discussing with you because this is for the beginners, this is not for the expert. But at very layman terms, I'm trying to explain it to you that what is the user story. User story is like a feature. Okay, it comes under the epic. Epic is something a complete big chunk of feature. Epic is divided into a multiple user stories. And user story is something that log in, log out, see the dashboard, and sort of. And epic, we can say epic as first feature for user as a user feature. Okay, so that is something targeting to log out, log in, see the first screen. So that is something a part of an epic. And under epic, these are multiple user stories targeting a flow, like a use case basically. Okay, sorry. So the thing is, these user stories are created in a backlog. They are dropped into the backlog. And a product owner, okay, so product owner is something who is prioritizing the features. Okay, product owner, he does the prioritizing of the features based on what is required to be rolled out on a production. So he says that he can say that this user story, login logout user story, is not required. He will deprioritize it. He will generate some new user story. Like, say for example, as a user, I want to see a dashboard without login. That's fine. It is product owner's responsibility to prioritize it. Okay, so the thing is, this role is performed by a product owner, and based on the product owner's priorities, product backlog is created. And as a team, as a complete team, a team decides that what we can deliver within a time bounded work. Okay, so that time bounded thing is nothing but a sprint. Sprint can be of a couple of weeks, sprint can be for 3 weeks, sprint can be a 4 week, it depends. But it is time bounded. Within this time, we have to complete end to end feature, fully working features and thoroughly tested, so that sprint can be released as an increment on the production. Sorry. So this is something, a concept of sprints. And as I said, in an agility, these sprints are released to product owners, to clients, to all other stakeholders, so that they can give early feedback. So once you get early feedback, definitely then it's a good thing that the loss is minimized to a company if there are major negative feedbacks. Sorry. So To do such kind of activities, we have to do continuous releases on different environments. So there are different environments for for development. We have a different environment for testing. We have a different environment for staging. We have a different environment for pre-production. We have a different environment for production. That is completely different environment. So all these environments, we have some different environments which help us to share the builds which we are creating incrementally in different sprints. Okay. So finally, the most important thing is in this process, whether it's a production environment or other environments, we have to do a continuous integration and continuous delivery (CI/CD). And for that, we need a help of other team members. That is something which comes under DevOps and all. We will discuss it in next point. But the thing is, the most important thing over here is a continuous releases on different environments so that we get early feedback. And because of the early feedback, we have a chance to change as early as possible. Even you can change. Sometimes there are chances you can change the architecture because you have worked on small bit and pieces of a component. So it's not a major change. You can accommodate it in early stages. So that's something continuous releases we have to do in an agile. In waterfall, it's a different ball game. The releases happens, but those releases are long-term releases, and that's not an agile. It is something releases may happen in a 3 months, in a 4 months, or in a year. That depends. Okay, it's a long-term releases. But the thing is, over here in agile, continuous release we have to make on the environment, including production for early feedback. As I said, there are different environments. Development environment is for developers, where developers from various areas, various regions with various skill set, they work together. They commit SVN or a Git or something, any repository, and it is then integrated and it is then delivered into the respective environments. So there are multiple concepts in DevOps, and that we can discuss later. So this continuous integration and delivery, that is collecting all the work of individual developers, integrating it, and delivering it to the respective environment. So for uh, testing, we are going to deliver it on testing environment. For pre-production or for staging, we are for acceptance test, we are acceptance testing, we are delivering it on stage environment or pre-production environment. Once that is approved, then finally the same release, same build, we are going to deliver it on production. So these are the various stages. This happens, software development happens with various stages. Okay. And same thing you can apply to your academic projects. Next comes to the TDD. TDD is test driven development. Sorry. I hope you have got the idea of team, product owner, and scrum master. Scrum master is something I left out. Sorry. So scrum master is something if in a traditional waterfall model, scrum master is nothing but a product manager, project manager. Sorry. So scrum master's job is to uh, make sure that everything runs smoothly. No one is blocking, and if someone is blocking with someone's task, then he makes sure that that is resolved ASAP, and it does not block further. So that is something scrum master's job. Product owner, I've already explained to you. Team is something, it's a development team. And most important thing, in agile teams, there is no hierarchy. Okay. In a traditional project management and traditional waterfall model, you can say that there is a hierarchy. There is a manager, then there is a lead, and there is subordinates, and there are juniors, and there is a various departments. Okay. But in agile team is something that everyone is a peer to everyone. It's a peer based development, peer based work. Team team itself coordinate with each other, and there is no role of a project manager in agile. Team helps each other. Everyone is peer to everyone, and a tester has to develop. For an example, a developer has to test. A team member has to work as a developer. A team member has to work as a DevOps as well. So uh, of course everyone has limitations, but the thing is, the fundamental is that fundamentally agile should have a team which are capable enough to do everything. That team should be cross functional basically. So cross function is the right term in agile team. So these are the main contributors and stakeholders. So development team, product owner, and scrum master. Then we jump into the next part is test driven development. That's most important thing, because as I mentioned clearly that we have to do releases continuously. So when the continuous releases happens, there are chances to there are chances for the human errors as well. Okay. So test driven development is it's a new methodology or practices where uh, it's a test first designed approach. Okay, so first of all, create a test cases. Once you understand the feature, you have to create a test cases. Developer, with the help of other team members, whether it's a testing team, whether it is a product owner, whatever it may be, they have to coordinate with other team members and they have to write down all the test cases in a form of a document. Once these test cases are written, okay, once these test cases are written, then developer has to write those test cases in a form of a code. First, you have to write a test case in a code. Okay, this is something that when you execute a test cases, once it is written down on a code, every test case will fail because there is no production core in a project. Okay. Now next thing is that a developer a developer has to fix all his failed test cases one by one iteratively. Okay, so the thing is, first write down all the test cases, map those test cases in the form of a code. Then finally you have to develop a production code which will fix that failed test cases. And finally the code a production code is written down which are fulfilling all the test cases. It's basically unit testing. Okay, it's basically a unit testing itself. For let's take an example, tools like JUnit, Mocha. Then these tools are used for the driven development itself. But in agile, TDD is important. Why? Because of continuous releases. Okay, so the thing is, finally a production code is written down, and if it is necessary, that code is refactored. If it is not necessary, that is fine. Then that product is we don't need any kind of a testers. Okay, manual testing is not required, because whenever a build is created, whether irrespective of any language, okay, whether it is a Java or whether it is a PHP or anything, we have a build tools. Okay, if in a Java it's a Maven or Gradle, whatever it may be. It's whether it can be npm for node, it can be a thing for this thing for PHP. So we can integrate continuous integration tools like Jenkins or TeamCity or Bamboo. These tools will execute the test cases whenever a new release is going to deploy on the production or on a respective environment. It depends, not on production but on the respective environments. For an example, uh, there are 2-3 developers, okay, in a team, and one developer is he owns one of the component, and another developer owns some different component. And third developer has created one of the component which is been shared by these two developers. Okay, I mean the features which developer 1 and developer 2 has created, that is been shared by a component. I mean those two components are utilizing the resources of the component which is developed by developer 3. So developer 3 is writing a test cases for his component, and for some features to add, subscribe, whatever it may be, developer 1 he's changing some important stuffs, or he's just changing a code of developer 3's. Okay, and which is that code is being shared by developer 1 and developer 2. Now developer 1's code, he will run, he will execute, it is working fine, that is fine. But the thing is, if it is not a TDD, then the component which developer 1 is doing, he will focus on his component only, he is not focusing on developer 2 and 3's component. So the problem over here is, there are chances that the features which has been developed, which is working on production, it can break, it is broken. Okay, it will break. So to overcome this, because of, if the developer 3, developer 2, if he has created a test suite for testing his component, what will happen that even if developer 1 has changed something in the code of developer 2 and developer 3, he will run a test suite when he is deploying a code, and that test suite will tell him that there is a problem, you have broken the functionality because that test cases is not getting passed. Sorry. So main intention over here is using TDD, that it ensures that failed and broken builds are not getting deployed on the respective environments. Testers will not get a broken build. A broken build is not developed on the production finally. So over here, this approach is most important, and in agility this is most important thing, because everything gets automated, even the testing gets automated. And just to clarify, every part of a code, it's not necessary it has to be tested, it has to be automated. But as a developer's responsibility is very important, that um, whatever a developer thinks that this is something complex component that has to be automated, that is something major heart of a core system, that has to be automated, so that component has to be automated. So unit can be anything, a component or a unit can be anything. It can be a small method, it can be a class, it can be a package, so anything. So a developer has to identify. And of course, if a developer is not able to identify, he has to sit together with the other team members, agile team members, because all are peers, try to understand, and they will sit together, they will identify, right, this has to be done, this has not to be, this has to be whether it comes under TDD or not. So I mean, you have to write a J unit cases or not. So it's a team who drives all the project to make it success. So that's a TDD. Now next component or next section comes under the DevOps. So DevOps are nothing but it's a, you know, let me explain to you DevOps before DevOps. For an example, uh, for to run a production code, it comes under operations. Okay, to administer a server, sorry, to admin a server, then to deploy a code. So this is something, if you go by traditional way, then it's a different ball game. But if you are moving with an agile, then the fundamentals of DevOps comes into the picture. So DevOps is something, it's they are filling a gap between the operations and a developers. So they are trying to fill the gap, they are acting like a bridge between the operations and the developers. So operations is nothing but everything which is running as a server, as a, all the, I mean, whatever is required to run a software, that is something comes under the operation, for example. And developer is something who is developing a code, and DevOps is something he's playing a role to connect these two entities of an agile. So developers, it's a development and operations, and uh, this is something a trending thing that you can also think about as a career, because of the cloud services, most of the uh, traditional systems, legacy systems, not like traditional, legacy systems, they are jumping from on-premises servers to a cloud. And the thing is, we don't require, like a person who is doing, we don't require as such in a going further scenario that who is doing a network administration, or they're plugging with cat 5, cat 6, and cat 7. We don't need those people because we have already a services like AWS, Google, and Zure. We're giving an AAS, okay, infrastructure as a service. So the thing is, everyone is running behind the cloud because most of the things are getting automated using, and there is no problem. Everything, all the billings are done by a subscription, pay as you go. So because of this thing, DevOps DevOps in cloud. This is something trending skills, which I think you should go with that, along with other stuffs. Okay. So the role of the DevOps is to ensure that all the code is integrated into a central repository, and that code is deployed on a respective environment, and that is fully automated using shell scripts, using tools like Jenkins, using tools like Grafana, Splunk. Then Splunk is basically used for monitoring and accessing the logs, and even you can go with ELK as well. ELK is Elasticsearch Kibana Logstash. So basically, for monitoring the tools, these tools are used for monitoring basically the logs. Okay, so every server generates a huge amount of data, which are nothing but the logs. So to analyze that logs, we use this kind of tools, Splunk and ELK. So this kind of tools, you just write it down, guys, so that you can explore it after the webinar also in your free time. You can go to YouTube, and you can go with other LMS also, and you can go further that what kind of tools these are. This is something I'm just giving you an idea that you have to go through these tools, because these tools adds if these tools are added into your profile, of course that will be highlighted. Sorry. So the thing is, DevOps basically use this kind of tools, and uh, uh, traditionally, what used to happen initially 5 years ago, that DevOps used to deal with only EC2s and CloudFront and S3 and all basic tools. But now we have a lot of technologies and services that can be used, and that can be helpful for uh, product development or software development. And most important tools which I would like to enlist over here is Docker and Kubernetes. So I hope you guys are aware of VMware. Okay, VMware is something you can simulate your operating system. You can simulate an operating system on a host machine. So over here, Docker is something. It's a lightweight container where only the required components are installed on a shared OS, and it's a isolated containers where you can deploy your own code in a specific containers without interrupting other containers. So just Google it after the webinar. What is a Docker and what are Kubernetes and how it is helpful. You can compare VMware with Docker and Kubernetes. So just write it down at the moment. Okay, so the thing is, DevOps generally pull a code from a repository. Then that code is you know uh, uh, it has been automated to deploy on a specific environment using Jenkins, and of course the test cases helps us to identify the problems before it is deployed on a specific environment, and that's a basic job of a DevOps. And DevOps mostly now in this current trends, they deal with cloud services. uh, of course developers do a code. Okay, first of all, let me tell you guys that developers itself work as a DevOps as well in some cases. There are lots of cloud formation scripts you can use to create a, you can write a code through which you can create an infrastructure on AWS or Google or Azure. Okay, so over there, of course, you need a skill set of programming also. So this is something important with respect to DevOps. So think twice. You have an opportunity over here, DevOps. Explore it, Google it, and uh, can add it to your resume. CI/CD, that's what I explained it to you. That it's continuous integration of work of different developers and delivering it to a specific environment. So it's a continuous thing. So that's the thing for the agile, and you can map this agile in your academic projects. Likewise, as I said, that don't go with waterfall. It helps, agile helps to have a early feedback, and definitely it helps because uh, of course in your academics you follow the waterfall. You you, you even by end of the, some of the students by end of the semester, they freeze their what they have to do, they freeze their idea. So basically don't do that. Start early, start creating MVP, and follow it as in a sprints, because if it is time bounded, definitely you will get a productive outcome. Create a product backlog, create a sprints accordingly, how much you can deliver it to your project coordinator in a month, for an example. And then automate it, if for the builds, because automation helps to automate, especially automation is something to automate a repetitive tasks. Okay, try to understand. All the repetitive tasks can be automated, all the repetitive tasks can be automated. For example, I will give you an example using a shell script or a Windows Bash script, that, or PowerShell script, that if you are a Linux user, um, you have a repetitive task like you have to go to a specific folder uh, of a OS. You have to open it and you have to check few items, and you have to close it. And so this thing, it can be automated using a shell script. Okay, so most important thing is that Linux is mostly shell based operating system. So whatever you are writing on your bash, that can be automated using shell. So try to understand. So everything, repetitive tasks can be automated. Deployment is actually a repetitive task. Fetching a code from a gate, building it, deploying it. So these are repetitive tasks and it can be automated. So try to build your own CI/CD, and that will be helpful for your academic projects. Scrum Master can be your project coordinator. Scrum Master can be a project coordinator, and product owner. Product owner is someone who can play a role. Who owns the idea? Can play a role of. In fact, everyone can be a product owner. It's not only a specific team member of your team. Everyone can be a product owner. So just keep rotating the roles. Okay, keep rotating the roles, because everyone will get an experience. Okay, for first month, team one, first member is a product owner. In next month, team member two will be the product owner. So keep rotating the roles so that you will get an idea. uh, TDD, please try to implement TDD. It's uh, what I have seen, what I have observed of with the freshers code. Freshers codes are really untidy. Okay, untidy, and Mostly a good professional, what I believe, that a good professional software developer is someone who writes a code which is clean and which is understandable by all other team members, and good, well documented. So it's not about I'm forcing for the TDD, but at least try to write a clean and good code which will help everyone, um, if a one project, if your project is being shared for a peer review with other team members, so other team members should be able to understand your code. So think in that way. I'm not forcing for TDD, but at least write a clean and good readable code. That is what I expect at your level. So this is all about agility, and I hope these two concepts of software development in terms of product development and agile, this will help you a lot for your product development or your academic projects. So this is the first part, which I would like to conclude, that is product development. There are lots of things we can discuss, but as we have a limited time, we will discuss at very high level. And the most important thing is just write down the points and the terms. Later on, please Google it. You'll get an idea. There are lots of resources available, but the thing is, I'm just giving you guidelines, or a kind of a thing which will help you a lot, and you can think in that way, and you can brainstorm among your team members. You can do hands-on, and definitely you can add it to your resume. That's the main motto. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I will get back to you. Just give me a minute before starting with the next session. Is it fine, sir? I need 1 minute.
1 minute break, no problem.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thanks.
So meanwhile, all participants, please join with us. He will Shirish will come back and will give a live some sessions for you.
Yes, we can resume. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Sirish.
Yes. Okay. So next we will discuss regarding the trending technologies and tools and services which are important for you guys, so that you can explore yourself, and definitely that will be helpful for you, and you can add it to your resume. So let me change my screen. I will show you few tools over here like Jira, Slack, Figma. First of all, we'll discuss, and then I will show you regarding the AWS Lambda and Firebase. Then later we will discuss few points on SQL and NoSQL and GraphDB, and how machine learning will be used using a GraphDB. So that we will discuss. So let me change my screen. I'm stopping. Stop. Is it visible, sir?
Just yeah, it's visible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's visible. Great. So as I mentioned that to work within an agile, we needed tools. Okay, we needed tools. Uh, so I will just walk through a few tools, and definitely these tools you can use in your academic projects. So the most important thing, guys, is that even if you are good in technical stuffs, and if you're not good in presentation, then that's a problem. I believe that it's my view. Okay, it's not a universal statement. It's my view basically that 20% is only of your technical knowledge and 80% is your communication. Try to understand. If you're good in technical skills, yes, you're smart in technology, you are hardworking, that's fine. But if you're lacking a communication, no, then it's of no use. If you're not able to present yourself, then that's a problem. Other team member will take your credit. Try to understand. So if you have a good communication, you are sustainable. Otherwise, you're not. Try to understand. So the tools like what we are going to discuss over here, these tools are very important for collaborating, for working with your teammates, with your colleagues. And these tools help a lot because when you generate a report from these tools, it gives a clear picture that yes, how much specific developer has contributed, how much, who is doing what complex part, who is doing what, blah blah blah. So the thing is, these tools basically helps to identify right collaboration, like collaboration and effective communication with other team members. Communication, it can be verbal, it can be normal or non-verbal. So that's fine if you're not fluent in English, that is fine, but how much you are presenting and how much you are listening. So listening power and your presentation power, that helps a lot. And if we move in a normal non-verbal way, then that will be great, because the thing is these tools help a lot um, to collaborate with each other. Okay. uh, and in specifically in agile way, as I mentioned, everyone is a peer. Okay, so everyone is a peer means everyone should have equal knowledge, equal of course experience matters. Someone will have 1 year experience, someone will have 10 years of experience. That's a attachments. There are lots of things. Okay. uh, Whatever I'm discussing right now, this is for only beginners, for you guys, only for the beginners. This is not for the experts. This is something I would like to clarify. So I'm explaining this very in a layman terms because uh, this should not get into different way. So think I'm just explaining you guys in a layman terms so that you'll get an idea. Okay. So over here, as I mentioned, that in an agile, there is a product backlog. Okay, so this is a Jira software. You just go and Google it. What is Jira? And of course, you can create your own accounts for 10 user. It is completely free. You can experiment for your academic projects, definitely for each and every individual academic project, individual project. So you can have a Jira account, and for a year you can use it without paying a single penny. And definitely everything is recorded over here. Try to understand. No, you don't need to record anything in your notebook or something. Record it over here. You are a technology people. Okay. Sorry. So just create a backlog over here, backlog in the backlog section, whatever you have thought about your software or your product. Write it down as a user story. Explore what is the user story, what is the epic. Write it down over here. Create a roadmap. You can create a roadmap for an example that within this time schedule what you are going to deliver, and you can think from your academic perspective, academic project perspective. Create a roadmap. Create a backlog over here, and as I said, that you can create a sprint over here as a team member with your coordinator. Just think in a way that you are going to take this kind of job in your next sprint. So just make a sprint accordingly. Start a sprint. It's completely time bounded, and you're there to go. Okay, so this is something I would like to share with you. This is a Jira software. Explore it, create a free account for each and every academic project. Hope you got it. Next tool is uh, Figma. As I mentioned in my first or second slide, mocking is important. Okay, mocking is important before development. So explore Figma as well. What Figma does, that it is over here you can create a mock wireframes. You can actually create a prototype which is without any development. See here, this is a template basically, and this is a prototype. You can create it using Figma. Sorry. Okay, complete product. So explore this tool as well. This is Figma. Next comes to AWS Lambda. So uh, AWS is a different thing. Like we can discuss in a separate session, but I'm targeting only one of the service, that is AWS Lambda. So AWS Lambda is something. It is a serverless computing service. Actually, developer need not think about the infrastructure. Or Devops. Okay, think about Devops. That for deploying a specific web service, he has to create a server on AWS. Like for example, he has to create a EC2. You have to spin up the EC2. Then he has to install a specific software. If it is a Node, then you have to install a Node. If it is a Java, then you have to install all the JDK, JRE, whatever it may be. And if it is a PHP, then you have to install complete LAMP stack. So I mean, not LAMP stack, but PHP and Apache. And if it is he is using SQL, then of course a complete LAMP stack. So the thing is, over here you need not worry about it. So all the execution environment you're getting uh, right away. Okay, you just have to create a service in a Lambda. Just 1 minute. Yeah. So you have to just create a function accordingly. Creating a function and configuration, this will take a time, and we have a limited time. So I've already created, and you can check. I have attached a gateway, API gateway over here to a function. So Uh, this is also built-in functionality of AWS. You can it's as a service, and this is something you have written down a code. This is basically a JavaScript code, and this is most interesting part, that the runtime is Node.js. Memory, it is we have configured it for 128 MB. You can change over here whatever memory you want, okay, depending on the traffic and depending on your computing resources you require, how much memory you want, how much based on that you can based on your code and complex operations, you can anytime change your memory. So the thing is, the point over here is pay as you utilize, okay. Don't think about server and infrastructure. It's everything is being managed by AWS Lambda. It's basically internal Docker. You just explore it. What is EC2, Docker, and all, beanstalk and all. That's a different part. But over here, let's focus on Lambda. And uh, over here, it, these are the relevant options which we have: Java, Python, .NET, Ruby. So these are the options which we have, and based on that you can configure your function, and there you go. uh, at very initial stages and in startups, it's very important to work cost efficiently, okay. To working cost efficiently, you have to think about financials. So AWS is something very important, that pay as you go, pay what is being subscribed, okay. So what kind of utilization you have, pay for that only. So that's the beauty of cloud services, whether it is AWS or Azure or Google. Sorry. So that's the thing over here, and most important thing is that go for Node.js instead of Java, because the utilization of resources of Node is very less compared to a Java. If you are working on a component where you are not dealing with any complex operations, so go for it. Because if you go for JVM, definitely for a small operations you have to pay for a large memory or large resources. So JavaScript is something, it's a beauty that it is single threaded, and it uh, utilizes less resources. So go for Node. If it is a complex, time critical and complex computational operations, then go for Java. uh, that depends, because the more computation, more resources will be utilized, and of course you need to drag it over here, and then try to understand. So uh, so this is something, a simple service which I have created, and I can show you a small demo. So this section is something, it is coming from here, okay. This object, it has been written over here, okay. And like, say if I am changing to this for an example. So this is something, this section is coming over here. And the beauty of JavaScript is it is interpreted, no compilation, nothing as such. So you can change over here something. Let's see it works. So master data. So I've changed over, it was something else. I've added DFD something. So when I refresh over here, you'll see something change over here. Refresh, it's reflect. No compilation, nothing. So think twice what kind of technology you are adopting. Can go with Java, Node anytime. I've just explained it to you what is the why you should go with JavaScript, and definitely every technology has a pros and cons, but this is something small simulation I have explained to you, that how JavaScript will help for ASCP rollout of on the production, easy and quick development. So that's the thing. So this is all about Lambda. Let me close this. Yeah. So next point is Slack. Okay. So this is something collaboration software where you can add your daily stand-ups over here. You can have different channels, whatever is required, and that helps for instead of using WhatsApp, go for it, go for Slack. Even I would like to suggest that colleges also should go with Slack. It has some premium user accounts as well, and it is something secure, and it gives a professional touch as well. So go with Slack, explore it, check out what is Slack. Sorry. Yeah. Next point is Firebase. Okay. So as I said, I'm big fan of AWS, but uh, I've worked with Google Cloud as well, and to some extent Azure as well. But I would like to suggest you, or I would like to tell you guys that go with AWS. It's very easy and straightforward, and uh, the learning curve of AWS is really less. And Firebase, regarding Firebase, it's a different thing for a quick development, and for uh, for for getting repetitive work to get see, first of all, let me give an example. If you are trying to create a new social platform like Facebook, and you are going to roll out on in a market, no one will use it, okay, because the wheel is already invented. You have to focus on your business, you have to focus on your new business logic. So developers, the Firebase is something, it is giving and ready tools and ready services to our developers, that uh, don't focus on authentication, which is a basic stuff for all the projects. Don't focus on the database, don't focus on few uh, technologies which is required for the all project. Focus on your business logic. So Firebase gives you common uh, flows for authentication, just by adding a small snippet of a code within in a code base. You can start authentication using Google or Facebook or GitHub, or even Apple, they are providing, so, or even with a vanilla login. So this is the most important point, why I'm elaborating for I'm suggesting for the Firebase. They give us a ready database also. Developers need not go for the management of all the servers. They are giving you everything, okay. Basically it's a NoSQL. They are it's JSON based. Oh, you can go here and check this out, that kind of what kind of database they are providing. It's a NoSQL key value pair, and that helps a lot for our developers. For just explore it, what is actually a Firebase, and definitely if you have any questions, just write it down and submit it to your coordinators, and definitely I will get back to you if the question is relevant and it's answerable by me. Okay. Next point is what? One second. Yeah. Yeah, I would like to give you a high level idea of SQL and NoSQL. Uh, so as an academic in an academic, mostly you guys are working on MySQL, Oracle. I mean relational database services. But in a market, we are using relational database services and as well as NoSQL, not only SQL services. I mean technologies like MongoDB, like Redis, then AWS, then you know DynamoDB, AWS DynamoDB. Then we are using Neo4j as well as a graph database. So this all this database comes under NoSQL. Advantages of NoSQL is is something I would like to share my experience, and in fact that's a truth that in relational databases as the data grows exponentially, and as you add more joins in the SQL, as the query gets complex, so as the complexity, as the result set increases, more processing power is required, more resources are required. And sorry, 1 second. And if you are getting more resources, definitely you need to add more cost on your servers, you need to add more cost on your machines. So sticking to a performance, sticking to your load bearing capacity, with reference to that, NoSQL performs very well. Okay, because if you go with a MongoDB, it's a plain document. Okay, JSON based documents stored in a BSON format, binary format. If you go with Neo4j, then it's a graph database.
Sorry
Yes.
for interrupt. Your screen is not visible. Are you sharing something or just you're giving explanation? Your screen
No,
is
no,
not.
no, no. I'm just giving the explanation
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Okay. Then go ahead.
Yes, yes. So, that's the important stuff of NoSQL. That uh, because in the relational databases engine, it's a uh, because of referential entities, joins, and all the it is something, it creates performance glitches. But in NoSQL, it has different pros and cons, and most important pros is something performance and scale. So MongoDB is something, it's a highly scalable graph database. It has something different advantages. Uh, just 1 minute. I think I need to share my screen. Just 1 minute. Is it visible?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, sorry. Uh, yeah. So I was discussing regarding SQL and NoSQL. So in terms of that performance and load bearing capacity, NoSQL is most what I like the beauty of NoSQL. And with respect to graph database, I like Neo4j. Neo4j is something, it's a graph, and over here, every row, if I try to map with graph with SQL, so every row of SQL, that is something a node, and each node is connected to another node, so each row is connected to another row through a relationship. And when there is a graph, when there is a tree, definitely it leads to a decision tree, and if when it is a decision tree, definitely it helps in machine learning as well. Okay, so explore it in terms of graph database, in terms of Neo4j, and explore what is knowledge graph, which will be helpful in machine learning. Okay, so over here, what is the takeaway? You need to check with Jira, Slack, Figma, AWS Lambda, Firebase, SQL. Then in NoSQL, you have to check with MongoDB. You have to check with Redis. Then you have to check with the Neo4j, DynamoDB, and in terms of only graph, if we speak with only graph, then Neo4j and machine learning using knowledge graphs. And every database has a pros and cons, and use cases where we have to utilize which database, and it's a decision. So let's take an example in if you are building a social platform like a Facebook or like a LinkedIn, then definitely you should go with graph database. And if you have a lots of reporting, then go with SQL and relational database. And if you're dealing with real time and quick response and quick transactional, then go with MongoDB. So every database has its pros and cons. It's a big topic of discussion, but at the moment we have a limited time. That's what we can discuss in this slide. Uh, so most of the part of selection criteria for your project I've already discussed in this slide as well. But the few things I would like to discuss over here is a monolithic and versus distributed. So monolithic, in layman terms, monolithic is something if everything is residing on your same computer, and everything, all the MVC pattern, all your database, all your front end, back end, or whatever it may be, it's residing on a same machine. Then you can say it's a monolithic. And if it is multi-tiered architecture, likewise, if your client is residing on your different machine, and if your database is residing on your different machine, sorry, if your authentication service is residing on your different machine, then it's a multi-tier, and you can say it is a distributed. Over there is a lot of things to be discussed, but I guess that this is enough. You can go ahead and you can Google it. Uh, as I said that for uh, for every project there is a front end and as a back end. So front end, you can go with Angular and Ionic, and for native, if you are trying to build a native apps, and go with iOS and Android, with Java and Kotlin, for iOS, Swift, or Objective C. I would like to suggest go with Angular, because if you develop a single code for a web, that code can be compiled for mobile using Ionic. And you know go with Ionic. As I said, that you can compile the same code for mobile using Ionic. And that is something. And if you need a performance, go with the native using Swift, using Java. And for backend, monolithic and microservices based architecture, I shown you a Lambda service. So that Lambda service is something, you can say it's a microservice where it is doing a specific task, and specific memory and resources are allocated for that service. So at a very high level, it's a microservice. And if let's take an example, there are 3-4 services which are service oriented architecture, and it's a project for service, and it is all the services are deployed on only one computer. It is contributing as a monolithic. Okay. Java and Node.js I have already explained to you. And of course, I've mentioned over here team preferences. So whatever tools, technologies, or whatever stuffs you are deciding for your project, everyone should be aware of all the technologies who are working on the same project. And it's your preference whether to go with Java, or whether to go with Node, or whether to go with AWS, or whatever tools. That's the thing. Sorry. 1 minute. Yes. Sorry. Next is something hands-on and exposure matters. So at very early stages of career, it's very important that what kind of exposure you're getting. Okay. First 2 years are very important because for budding engineer, it's a start for their career. So if you're going with MNCs, definitely you will get exposure to lot of things like you'll learn processes, you'll learn specific technologies. But if you're working with startups or small SMEs, over there you'll learn not only the processes, but you'll learn how to handle the pressure, how you will one person, one developer handle a lot of things. He plays a multiple role in a startup. Okay, so the thing is, if you start your career with a startup, then of course you will get a more exposure. If you start your if you start with an MNC, then you'll learn more processes. But it depends on the project. If the project is giving you more exposure, and definitely in MNCs as well, you'll get a more exposure to what you're learning, what you're going to learn, and what you're going to apply. Knowledge, salary, and experience. These three things should go hand in hand. It's most important thing. Because the thing is, if let's take an example. If you have a more knowledge and less experience, that is also fine. If your knowledge and experience is equal but your salary is less, that is also fine. But if your salary is more and if you have a less experience and knowledge, that's a problem. Because if when you are going to switch to a next company, it will create a problem. So uh, so keep learning, keep increasing your knowledge. Experience is something, it's not necessary, but knowledge will lead to an experience, and when knowledge and experience is there, of course that will lead to a salary. So how internship helps for hands-on and exposure? That's most important thing. uh, Internship, you will not get any salary. Okay, you will not get any stipend. So first of all, you are focused only on knowledge and experience. Okay, so when you are focused on knowledge and experience, you are more motivated to keep learning and focus on your work. Okay, and once you jump off from your internship to your next project, next employer, definitely they will calculate your experience, because as I mentioned that how internship helps. They're also well known to the concept of internship. They will think, yes, this guy has done an internship, definitely he will add the value to our team and organization. Okay, so that's how internship helps. So I'm offering an internship. As I said, that I'm I've started my own startup known as Kshipra Technologies recently. Okay, and I would like to be transparent with you all guys that because of pandemic situation, I have not registered yet, but by end of this month, I will be registering my firm. So even the website is not available. But the thing is, I will ensure that by end of this month, by end of this June, it will be registered. This transparency is most important, because the thing is, who the people who are going to work with me, I want them to be a peer with me. Okay, I don't want as a subordinate or a juniors. I want those people to work hand in hand, and whatever knowledge I have, I should be able to share with them. So those people should also have the capabilities. The frequency should get matched, and if I keep the transparency, then definitely people will love to work with me. So this is something initial. This is our initial discussion, and I would like to keep the transparency that the firm is not yet registered, but I promise by end of the June it will be registered. So I'm offering an internship to a smart people. I need only two people as of now. And the criteria to get into internship is that you have to submit your ideas, whatever you have in your mind, and the ideas which you will present. It has to be convinced, and I should be convinced on that idea, because the thing is, mostly you will be working on your idea itself. Try to understand. If you have a better idea, then you are more motivated to work against that idea. And obviously, I've given assignment. Coordinators will share you the assignment. So assignment is very simple. Um, Assignment is very simple, that uh, you have to create an Angular app where there is a dashboard where you will be displaying the current situation of COVID pandemic situation. How many deaths happen, how many active people treatment is going, how much cases are being registered. So a kind of a small dashboard you have to create with respect to current pandemic situation. And there are various publicly available RESTful APIs are available for fetching the data from the database of government and WHO. So fetch the data from the respective publicly available RESTful APIs and populate it on your Angular app. Okay, so details of the assignment, it is been provided. You just go through that assignment, but there is a prerequisite for the assignment. You need to submit first of all the idea, then you have to get known to these technologies: Angular, REST, and Postman, and Git. So go through, explore it, and then start your assignment. So in Kshipra Technologies, basically we are working on product development and research and development. Basically, product and research. We are doing these two kind of thing. Duration of internship is 4 to 6 months. So it varies. If you are working on a let's say if you are working on an R&D, it may be 4 months, and if you are working on a specific product, then it can be of 6 months, depending on the situation and uh, our roadmap, Shipra's roadmap. Uh, what you will take away, of course, an industry experience. You'll get a certificate, and you can show your certificate to your next employer. And at the moment, it's only requirement for two freshers. Okay. So before starting with the assignment, go through this thing. You can check the links in the references. This is obviously a time bounded. Submit your ideas by 12th of June, assignment by 19th of June. Assignments, whatever code you're going to develop, so create a repository, commit the code, and share it to my email ID, so that I can get an access to your code. I can review your code. I can try to run your code on my machine. And session two, of course, this is session one. Session two, we will be dealing with your demos. So you need to present your demos in session two regarding this assignment, and whatever tools and technologies we have discussed in this webinar. You just highlight what kind of in detail knowledge you want, and that we can discuss in session two. So that is something about session two. So start thinking about your ideas, start collecting prerequisites for the assignment, and start working on the assignment and deliver it. These are the references. Go through these references, and of course Google it, go through YouTube, go through other LMS, and acquire the knowledge. And definitely I hope that you guys can apply this knowledge to your academic projects as well. There is no thank you slide, because I want to engage with your department a lot. So it's not only thank you. We have to go further. We have to think beyond this webinar. So that's the thing. So no thank you. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Shirish, for a wonderful session that you deliver. Hope my all participants and the students and the faculties uh, on the knowledge out of it, and hopefully the whatever the assignment you gave, all participate uh, solve that assignment, take part wholeheartedly, and they will join as a internship in your Kshipra technology very soon. We will give 1 week to them, and within 1 week we'll come to know what will the result of it. The second section will be based upon those who have solved the assignments and those who are interested for the internship. For that, students only will do the second session. Is it correct, Sirish?
Yes, yes, it's correct, because session is second session is completely first of all, the criteria is important that you have to complete the assignment, and each and every developer, budding developer, they has to present the assignment through webinar. So obviously, who has completed, he will be part of that.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's request to all participants. Please do accordingly, uh, especially the assignment and all. I will share the PPTs and the recorded all this Zoom recording session on Telegraph group. And today you have to feel the feedback. Uh, Feedback. Those who are attended, we will send the feedback in chat box, and we keep this particular link, this Zoom session live for next 10-20 minutes for just filling the feedback. If you have any query, you can place in the chat box. Sirish, meanwhile, we have 2-3 questions in that. Are you going to be answered that?
Yeah, definitely, please.
Yeah. There is a common question that sir, suppose to we have a non-software project need a prototype 3D model. So could you also suggest a free and easy platform to do the same?
3D model, it's a non-software. So see, basically, for 3D model, or I don't have any much idea. Definitely, we need to research. So sorry about it.
There is one more question. So according to you, in the post-COVID era, what type of industry will be suitable for a new startup, product-based or service-based, by keeping by keeping in mind all this situation and scenarios?
Yeah, first of all, forget about services. Okay, don't go into services. Second is the product. So medical education, education is most important. Okay, so education industry, medical, and then productivity tools. Likewise, what I said, that like Jira or Slack. So kind of a productivity tools will help a lot. And entertainment is something important, which will be booming.
From chat box, no, there is one question. I think a participant is not from the engineering background, that's why he asked that question. Explain the waterfall model.
So waterfall model, I've already explained in the webinar itself. So if the recording is been shared, definitely he will get an idea.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you, Sirish, for giving the answers. Hope all questions are get covered. So thank you, Sirish, and thank you all participate by attending this webinar. Hopefully, you will get all the concept clear related with trending technologies and project management. What type of tools that we supposed to use during the project of your academics. I will share all these recording sessions to all my participants. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I will conclude that today's session is over.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Yeah, good.
मग दुसरा अभ्यास चालू माहिती